Fear is such a unique, intrinsic, and familiar emotion. It is universally understood amongst all those who have experienced it. Its fundamental meaning penetrates boundaries of language, culture, and all other aspects of humanity. Fear combined destroy or perpetuate our development as a species in almost any setting. Upon the perception of fear, an activation of the sympathetic nervous system initiates. Adrenaline and noradrenaline kickstart a process used to distinguish a very specific natural biological instinct. A split-second decision occurs to either engage an oncoming threat or run in an attempt to escape. It's called acute stress response, and within this process, fear is used as a determining factor when weighing the price of a potential mistake. So valuable is the outcome of this evaluation that when fear is present, when a binary choice of aggression or disengagement manifests itself in its most severe form, our biological instinct will always, unequivocally, make that decision for us. Our bodies and minds need to be prepared for such an engagement, in the same way a car engine needs combustion in order to function. Pupil dilation, blood pressure, and an accelerated heart rate are the key components in supporting our bodies with oncoming threats. Anxiety forces us to think about the inevitable and the consequences of being ill-prepared for such an environment. These two aspects, acute stress response and the frame of which we understand our own perceptions of anxiety, are now masterfully used against us within Capcom's Resident Evil Remakes. We can see these elements first come into play when Leon navigates the burning chaos in Resident Evil 2's introduction, giving a brief glimpse into what lies ahead. The message is clear: survival is paramount, and getting to safety should be your only concern. In contrast, the police department on its initial visit acts as a respite to breathe, to recuperate and collect scattered thoughts. The open structure of its main hall grants a taste of serenity, however fleeting it may be. On entry, it feels welcoming and safe, an impenetrable fortress, although its formidable structure also commands something valuable from the player. If you're going to muster up the courage to proceed, you should do it here and now. What comes next is the moment Leon surveys the east hallway for the first time. In this cutscene, Resident Evil 2 projects the very essence of fear and anxiety it'll maintain through its campaign. Here, it presents the first baptism of fire for the unsuspecting player. Leon barely squeezes headfirst under the corrugated metal. Only darkness lies ahead. The hidden threat shares your confined space, and what better way to introduce the player to anxiety than with a nightmare? Here and now, tension is being rebuilt slowly, winding up anxiety in the player in preparation for another segment of crisis management. It's allowing senses to focus on immediate surroundings. It is also here that a switch is taking place, the transition from high-intensity action to patience, composure. The Resident Evil remakes, along with its 7th installment, are built with Capcom's relatively new RE engine. Elements like per-object motion blur, screen space reflections, and volumetric lighting replicate a realistic atmosphere within its context. It illuminates its ability to elegantly glue all these concepts of horror together and balance the interchanging aspects of panic and uneasiness in its visual forms. These visual elements act as an amplifier in which the volume dial is slowly turned up with each corner. Leon's flashlight only illuminates the unforgiving environment in small stages. Each creak from wooden panels, the deafening silence broken by water drips from a nearby pipe, let the player know that familiarity is all but an illusion. a brief glimpse into a calmness ready to be shattered with the terror of the undead. Before I move on to the next section of the video, I want to take a short pause to talk to you. Pushing forward is an important aspect on how to deal with the stress and anxiety that the Resident Evil series brings. There are times when the imprint of those maladaptive conditions are reflected in real life. The save room reminds me of this whenever I visit it. Being alone with thoughts, even for just a moment, can be both a blessing and a curse. Feeling alone, helpless and fearful within the Resident Evil remakes is pertinent to their experience, but many experience this throughout their life on a daily basis. If you are going through a particularly difficult time at the moment, whatever that may be, please know that what you are going through does not define you. There will be better days ahead. If you are here, then I am speaking directly to you. Please never give up. Talk to those close to you and take each step at your own pace. It is not and never will be a weakness to seek support from any source on any topic. Much like the save room, staying here alone for too long can increase the fear. Leaving safety and familiarity in the pursuit of perseverance is a terrifying thought, but you are strong and I believe in you. No matter how small, each step to improvement will forever be colossal. Haunting beeps echo throughout a facility made purely to create viruses that accelerate human tissue growth. A facility that measures combat data of the monstrosities it creates. Something has gone horrifically wrong. There has been a violent disaster, a scientific crisis which led to a destruction of human lives in such a way that it is unlike anything anyone has seen before. Stillness and the atmosphere of death fills these open clinical halls that were made for a flow of hundreds, if not thousands, of employees. The burning drive of scientific progression, however unethical, was present here. Now what's left is just a sarcophagus. Its emptiness has an edge that seems to press against the skin. Jill's footsteps set the pace of flow through the underground research facility. It's a reminder that you are effectively alone, and what accompanies you cannot be called human. Only death lies here, or more importantly, as evidenced by the abominations crafted from a virus that reanimates the deceased. How it does not. The nest facility you're seeing here in this footage is one of my favourite areas in all of the remakes. Its environment contrasts the darkness we found ourselves in for most of the journey. It shines the light on the worst parts of humanity and on our cognitive processes, figuratively and literally. It is here, when fear of death is absent, that determination remains to finish the job, as it were. Upon replaying the series again for this video, I found that overcoming the fear and managing the stress accompanying it enabled me to focus and practice on the tenacity required for efficiency. Priorities become more about inventory management. Having the right tools at the right time now takes precedence as the unpredictability and aggressiveness of threats become increasingly manageable. Sections absent of combat and survival partially lower that perception of threat, but also permit this calming sense of forward planning. There's an additional puzzle to solve based on how can I save ammo here and what are the risks I can take into the next section. It's here replayability shines and where the concept of the post-game grading system becomes apparent. It encourages improvement on completion time to eradicate wastefulness. Limiting return trips to storage boxes and typewriters is a new challenge and interweaves seamlessly with the way Leon, Claire and Jill effortlessly skate through each area. The remakes will always have a special place in my heart for all the elements mentioned here. I always find myself returning to them and finding a strange comfort in their pace and flow. This video was quite personal for me. What started out as an exploration into Resident Evil's design choices quickly moved on to deeper topics. Thank you to anyone who took the time to watch this. There's a Discord link in the description for anyone who wants to talk about any of the topics discussed here. I'd love to hear from you.